The film opens with a teenager, Nathan Harper, partying all night and getting hammered. The next morning, his father, Kevin, drives him home. While he's still hungover, Kevin forces him to fight and practice his moves, which is his way of punishing Nathan. That evening, when he goes out to throw the trash, he watches his crush, Karen, getting dumped by her boyfriend. The following morning, he visits his therapist, Dr. Bennett. He shares with Bennett how he feels like an outsider at his own house and doesn't feel connected to his parents. He also speaks of his recurring nightmare, which consists of a woman singing him a lullaby, but soon getting attacked to death. Bennett, like any regular therapist, associates his nightmare with the mental problems he's facing. When he attends school, his friend Jilly encourages him to make a move at Karen, but he limits himself to eye contact with her during class. Karen tears apart her ex-boyfriend's pictures and visits Nathan, who lives next door. Nathan brings her to his room, where they discover a website profiling missing children. They also come across a feature that projects how kids would have turned out if they hadn't gone missing. Nathan becomes unsettled to see a child's photo that has a striking resemblance to him and his adult version looking exactly like him. The next day, he does some digging and finds the same shirt that the missing kid is wearing in the website picture. Hence, he lies to his parents about the study session with friends and visits Karen to share his new discovery. As she gets convinced, the two connect to the site's live chat session. A female is connected with them, but in reality, it's a guy from New York who hacks their laptop and finds out their location. He also hacks their webcam to eavesdrop on them, while simultaneously alerting a former Secret Service agent named Kozlov about Nathan. Soon, Nathan sees the webcam light blinking and shuts the laptop. When he returns home, he checks his birth certificate, which proves Kevin and Mara are his real parents. Up next, he discusses everything with Jilly, who also finds things suspicious. However, Nathan finds his parents too boring to be kidnapping psychopaths. When Nathan returns home, he ignores his father in the garage and goes to his room. When Mara comes to check up on him, she finds the printouts of the missing children's case and the shirt. She immediately breaks into tears and admits that she's not his mother. Nathan insists on an explanation, so she buys some time and goes downstairs to tell Kevin. While she sobs alone, Nathan gets a call from Karen. He tells her everything and asks her to come to the place from the back door. Simultaneously, two imposters posing as detectives from the Juvenile Justice Department show up outside Mara's doorstep. One of them happens to be the hacker that hacked Nathan's computer. Mara realizes the threat and tries to shut the door, but they overpower her and barge inside. Her true identity is revealed when she bravely fights them and throws one of them out of the window. Karen becomes baffled seeing this and quickly hides in their house. Kevin hears the commotion and steps in with his gun, but by that time, Mara is shot dead. Nathan witnesses this and escapes from his room window. Kevin fights the imposters and ends up killing one of them. Unfortunately, the second imposter shoots Kevin right before he tells Nathan to run as far as he can. Nathan does as he says, whereas Karen gets caught by the imposter. Nathan is suddenly reminded of Karen, so he returns and fights the imposter. The man claims to help them if they let him go and alerts them of a bomb placed in the oven. When Nathan confirms the bomb's presence, he runs with Karen, but the bomb explodes. The shock waves push the kids in the swimming pool, while the entire house gets wiped out. Karen gets injured, so Nathan gives her a bike ride to the hospital. On the other hand, a Serbian ex-Secret Service agent named Kozlov lands at the airport. Nathan gets Karen help in the hospital, whereas Kozlov's men show up at a hotel with their heavy tech. When Nathan calls 911, a CIA agent named Frank Barton takes his call, who already happens to know his name. Just when things are getting suspicious, Nathan watches the news in which the cops are covering what actually happened at his house. Frank tries to warn him of the men that are coming for him, but Nathan hangs up on him. Unbeknownst to them, the Serbian thugs are overhearing their entire conversation. At the hospital, Dr. Bennett miraculously shows up with balloons to cover their faces from getting seen by the surveillance. She claims to be Nathan's biological father's friend and helps him escape the hospital with Karen. On the road, Nathan tells them about the weird 911 encounter and Frank. Bennett becomes concerned and reveals that Frank is not to be trusted. Kozlov's men tap their location and come after them. Bennett doesn't get enough time to tell Nathan everything, but she reveals that Kevin and Mara were special agents appointed to protect Nathan. She hands him keys to an apartment and makes him memorize a house address. She warns him only to trust a man named Martin and forces him to jump off the running car by the riverside. He chooses to go with Karen. Now, Bennett causes a diversion on the bridge, which allows Nathan to safely cross the river on his own. The next day, they try to figure their path and steal blankets from the trailer homes. After sleeping the nights in the woods, Nathan wakes up crying and decides to help Karen get back home for her safety. Thanks for watching the video. Meanwhile, the CIA conducts an emergency meeting where Frank updates everyone on Kozlov's return after someone leaked his personal list consisting of highly influential politicians and secret agents who were involved with state crimes, in which Frank updates everyone about their agent, Martin, stealing an encrypted list of the corrupted intelligence agents and politicians, due to which Kozlov is after his son, who happens to be Nathan. According to Frank's investigation, Kozlov has already tracked Nathan and killed his cover-up parents, who were also CIA agents. Now, they must secure Nathan before Kozlov holds him against Martin to get the list. Meanwhile, Nathan and Karen are seen hitching a ride. Frank is seen getting his agents to interrogate Nathan's school friends and everyone he knows, as well as keeping tabs on Kozlov by checking all the overseas stations. Unbeknownst to him, Kozlov is already listening to him via his spying gadgets. The kids find the apartment, where Nathan finds a woman's picture with an address. He recalls her from his dreams and figures she's his actual mother. He steals a phone while Karen phones her uncle to tell him her whereabouts. The call directly connects her to Frank, so she hangs up and flees with Nathan in a car they find in the apartment. Nathan sets out to find his mother, but comes across his grave instead. Karen notices fresh flowers on the grave, so she flirts with the cemetery receptionist to expose who delivered those flowers. When he searches the grave by name, the keywords appear on the CIA intel, along with the location. Likewise, Kozlov also receives the same information. Both parties set out to capture Nathan, whereas he finds out the flowers came from Paul, the only man to trust besides Martin, according to Bennett's advice. He decides to track Paul and meets up with Jilly to get fake IDs. They use those IDs to board a train, not knowing Kozlov's man is right behind them. Nathan and Karen catch up on their past and end up making out. Later, Karen goes out to fetch them lunch. When she returns to her cabin, Kozlov's man kidnaps her and threatens to chop off her fingers if she doesn't tell him Nathan's cabin. After a while, the two come across each other. The man brutally beats Nathan up and throws him around. Nathan recalls Kevin's lessons on fighting and shows great reflexes. After a long fight, Nathan succeeds in pushing the man out of the train. Karen also frees herself and unites with Nathan. The two get off the train and decide to walk through the woods, where the CIA discovers Kozlov's man, now dead. When the kids get to the highway, the CIA spots them and convinces them not to run from them. Franks takes the kids for a treat at a diner, where he privately tells Nathan everything about the encrypted list. Nathan judges his tone and figures Frank's name is also on the list, which is why he's trying so hard to obtain it. While they're debating, Kozlov and his men shoot all of their security and hijack the diner. While Frank and his partner retaliate, Nathan flees with Karen, now knowing he has the encrypted list inside the phone he stole. Another phone rings in Nathan's pocket, revealing that he took it from Kozlov's man when he pushed him off the train. Kozlov is now aware that Nathan has the list, so he threatens to kill everyone around him if he doesn't hand over the list. Nathan decides to meet in a public place for the exchange, whereas the CIA tracks Kozlov's men and has them all killed by a SWAT team. The team reports to Frank that they found a digital recording, which confirms Nathan has the list and is about to trade it with Kozlov. Nathan and Karen meet up with Jilly, who provides them baseball shirts and tickets for their next move. While Frank and his agents get stuck in traffic, Nathan reaches the stadium. He leaves one ticket under a statue's feet outside. He gets a surprise call from Martin, who persuades him to back out and let him handle the situation. But Nathan hangs up on him. Soon, Kozlov calls him to ask about the ticket. Nathan tells him about the statue, where Karen secretly takes his pictures and forwards them to Nathan, so he knows what Kozlov looks like. Nathan finally finds him and sits beside him on the seats. He quietly takes out a gun, which he's taped under the chair. Kozlov diverts his attention by revealing what his actual father does and how Nathan watched his mother get killed from under the bed because she wouldn't tell Kozlov where Martin was. In the meantime, Kozlov steals his gun and points it at him. Nathan immediately runs away. Bulldozing through people, Kozlov also follows him. Martin calls him and asks him to lure Kozlov outside. Once Nathan does as he's told, Martin takes a shot with his sniper from a distance and kills Kozlov. Frank and his agents also show up and seize the phone from him. Frank is suspected of being on the list, so Frank gives away the phone to prove his innocence and walks away. Martin calls him and asks him to hand over the phone to Nathan. He apologizes to Nathan for failing him, even though he was always watching him from the shadows. Nathan insists on meeting, but Martin refuses to, for Nathan's safety. At last, Bennett shows up and announces that Nathan will be under her wing from now on. Before walking away with her, Nathan takes Karen back to the empty stadium and shares a passionate kiss with her,